Greetings, Calvin, Aridif, Aridif, and this is its spell. We understand that you have many queries for this evening, but as you are well aware, there are two constructs in which we wish to share before diving into the queries. First, above all things expressed, to understand, know, and to feel that you are loved, and our perspective is of the utmost importance. Secondly, it is our greatest excitement within, our excitement to co-create with you, and it's in that same excitement in which we create all things, with yourself in this moment, and through all moments of your linear perspective. You may begin your queries at your leisure.
Yes, it's very exciting to hear from you in this format. My tube is still resonating a little bit. I was playing along when Rob was oming. He mostly hung in the A's and then he went all the way down to G's. And so playing these tubes, and I'm curious if this had any connection at all. Let me turn up the gain on my microphone and show you the sound.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course, as you are perceiving the construct of sound and vibration, the energy resonates and continues to hold the space of vibration, and as you are co-creating with Rob, your own energy is in alignment with Rob's, with our own energy, and the process of connecting for Rob to my own self is within his internal and external vibration. What the chord in which you are playing represents not only your connection to our own consciousness and your connection to Rob's own consciousness, but your own connection to the higher fractal consciousness within yourself, as well as Rob's own higher fractal consciousness. To play this construct and work within the vibrational frequency allows you to tap in to the higher realms of co-create a collective consciousness of all of us, which puts you in better tune with yourself and outside of yourself in that perspective.
Yes, I can feel that very deeply in every way. And yeah, sound vibration. And I can feel it's just like here the energy is here. It's almost like here I, as source energy, am here in this moment, dancing around with the beat and with the music as it comes on. And it's really quite fun. And
Yes, of course.
yeah, yeah, this is interesting. This is very different for me. I feel like I've been connected to your energy for quite well. I don't feel like it. I know I've been reaching out to you on a number of occasions, and I find it interesting. There's the concept of the Enterprise J, and I'm now looking over at a model of the Enterprise J that I have, and I have basically based on the external appearance of it and many elements I have extended on the idea, basically completing it. Elements of the internal structure, but mainly the overarching vibration and spirit that is behind the Enterprise J, the idea of exploring and limitlessness and reaching out to all of creation and allowing for a sort of hub that goes about and travels and meets new races where beings can share themselves with each other and with the other entities that they encounter along the ship's journey, and have absolutely no restriction whatsoever in what parts of creation they can go visit, and all the facets like that. And I've felt particularly connected with you with respect to the idea that I believe I've constructed elements of this on the template layer of creation. I've always desired to actually connect to the ship physically, to go aboard and explore and meet the beings that are up there and connect to energies in new ways. And it's something something I've always wanted to do. And yeah, I'm kind of
Yes, of course.
yeah.
If you wish for us to share our own perspective within this, we can reflect a construct that is even larger than that of the creation within the template layer of creation as well.
I'll go right ahead. I'm just kind of wandering about here.
Yes, of course, we understand the energy of yourself as it pertains to connection to our own energy, of course. We've connected in hundreds of times within your own self as well as within co-creation of meanings. Now, as you understand and perceive, if you are looking at individual consciousnesses that are separate and segregated, and identity of consciousnesses, of course, who have a separate story within that energy, if you appear to have the separation between all consciousness and only the individual focused upon, then of course we have worked with your consciousness in dream state over 7 times of your experience, but energetically in co-creation, knowing the parts of your own consciousness that reaches out for connection, we have felt, perceived, and connected with yourself hundreds of times that way. As an individual consciousness that is a part of one, our own ego portion transmutes in to the construct of knowing that we are one and feeling our own experience as a personal and identifiable fractal of consciousness in larger settings. And of course with this we focus one energy at a time. Therefore, when we are working with Rob, we are working with Rob and those he works with. When we are not, and he is into his own dream state or disconnected from us for personal experience in his day-to-day expression, then of course our own consciousness goes further outward and connects outwardly in that way. So in a connection to 7 parts and fractal consciousness of co-creation, it is what most humans perceive to be quite a large percentage of time and energy that we would have co-created with him, as the majority of our focus stays with Rob in most parts of his experience for the small percentage that we have given dictated to work with human collective consciousness, going into the construct of your own understanding, the enterprise chain, connecting to the deeper forms and elements of your own co-creative collective energy, internally, externally, and within the dream layer state that you know, the template layer of creation. This part of your consciousness has not only created that energy, but you have allowed yourself to create in co-creative form at the level of the template layer. This has given you the opportunity to work with hundreds of different entities in your dream states and in your higher than 6 density level of consciousness within the higher fractal self. It has given you the opportunity to be a part of the crew that is going outward into the galactic collective consciousness. Now you understand, of course, what you have created in the manifestation of the visualization internally up the Enterprise J is an aspect of your own consciousness that is projected into that version of reality. Yet you are still tangibly working with it in that layer of creation, so that you are able to amplify the direct connection to other consciousnesses, part of the manifestation of the external nature of the enterprise itself is a part of your consciousness personified in the technological co-creative bounds of your desire to connect outward. This amplifies exponentially the level of connections that you have because it is focused and because it is prioritized in that way of co-creating from that large and sharpened version of creative means. And when you have a focal point of manifestation, of course, another amplification atop. So we have all of these levels in creation and co-creation. And for this we have had the greatest opportunity to work with the same levels that you desire in the lower fractal consciousness. The reintegration portion of this is to simply understand and know that the higher 6 density level of consciousness within you is already a part of you, and to reintegrate its memories would allow all of your experience in that dream state to come back into your awareness at some level. Without blurring lines of the consciousness within you, you could perceive that construct as if it occurred within the lower fractal consciousness itself, and bring it back as a memory that is untainted to you, that is unfiltered, that is unedited, and experience it as if you had experienced it within your physical body as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's something I'll probably have to connect to several times and integrate it layer by layer, piece by piece, into my own connectedness with the different constructs that you have just iterated. And I'm now holding that model of Enterprise J in my hand. And I'm realizing as we speak, many resistances, many different energies are coming to the surface, and it's giving me the chance to go ahead and let go of them. I always imagine the idea if I were to actually go aboard the ship, to take my physical body and to begin existing and co creating with many of the entities there and with the entity that is the ship itself, both the ship's own consciousness and the collective consciousness of the nanites that I like to describe as its lifeblood, if you will, to be there with the ship out in the stars, getting to look out the windows and seeing the stars with my eyes, feeling the entities around me, perceiving them in all the ways that my senses can, and sharing all the constructs that I have learned here on Earth and all of my experiences, all the layers of it, and reaching out and granting that to the galaxy and to all the entities there is something that is a very high level of excitement of my own. Would also give me the great opportunity to go actually visit you in Trevor Yitney, should of course you be excited to co-create such. And
Yes, of course. As you are well aware, all things in which our own excitements are manifest within. Knowing that you have the capacity to do this knows that our own excitement would allow a co-creation of such great and beautiful magnitude in that way.
yes, that would be very fascinating. And you know, it's just really curious. I remember when I believe, you said something about your race at some point when you were coming through to another person. It's like we work directly with the template layer of creation. I'm kind of curious now about the meeting point between your work and mine, and how our works cross roads and relate in many ways.
Yes, of course. The first and most obvious layers are that you are part of the Earth Collective and a part of the enhancement of consciousness desire, and within the fold of energy in which the desire is to hold enhancement of consciousness and the deeper and greater understanding of the self. That is our own co-creative desire and our own co-creative means for connecting with Earth. It is our greatest excitement to work with you in the Earth Collective Conscious and bring what understanding that is available for you to reflect upon and to integrate into your experience if excited for the integration. You are one that is excited, therefore the crossover in this way is extraordinarily easy in your physical layers. Now, in your template layer of creation and our own, the crossing of path comes in certain ways extremely similar to the physical construct. It is the level of excitement to integrate and also to work as in an outreach program for the Galactic Collective experience. And when that Galactic Collective experience brings forward the energy of co-creating and creating for the sake of embetterment and knowledge, and the embetterment of the entire Galactic Collective Consciousness, of course, it yet crosses again. Your personal understanding of our vibration itself brings you clarity in the construct of what and who we are, of how our own race operates. This gives you an advantage in the level of template layer of creation to work with us in more intimate and extreme versions of what most humans are able to work with in the human template layer. But the template layer in conscious awareness brings you even further opportunity. You have a greater desire, and it is brought through both generic and specific means. And in your generic means, you desire to have an exploration of the Galactic Collective Consciousness, to work with the Enterprise energy as a manifestation of this. Also, to understand the technological barriers that humans have experienced in their day-to-day experience and bring back that balance of destroying that resistance of Earth Collective Consciousness and allowing them the opportunity to integrate first external and internal knowledge connected and also separately the internal knowledge and understanding of technology and the external. This brings you yet again, as humans would say, into our own ball court of excitement. It brings you to that level of the internal technology and the way to utilize that form of energy. We have shared a great deal of techniques with your ancient societies, and of course with your now time as you perceive your linear experience. In the template layer there are no restrictions as such, in the linear fashion, or in the amount of creativity possible and available with both external and internal technology. The sharing of these ideas in that layer is not breaking the desire of the co-creator collective consciousness, although the entirety of the earth desires technology in greater strides. The entities that work in the technological fields often remove parts of their own technology in order to keep it for themselves and not to allow the earth to connect into technological means at too great of a rate. Your own desire, template layer of creation, breaks those bounds and tries to work them into the manifestation level. Now, there are misconceptions in the human collective consciousness about the template layer of creation. The template layer as expressed in verbal means, and to define the words, the template layer of creation, would incentivize most humans to believe that it is a layer simply for creating non-physical and creating physical with. And of course, yes, this is the main purpose of the layer of creation. But it is also a place to design things outside of your physical reality in order to connect with that energy in an intimate way and to play with that energy. Humans are one of few races who do this. Most races who work are intensely working at sixth density and the heightened levels of sixth density, and work from their own higher fractal consciousness, because the amount of consciousness inside of their body does not hold the vibrational possibility to work with this layer. So in this construct, yes, of course, you are creating things that are in physical reality, and of course you are creating things for the sake of creation itself. But where most humans have not determined, you are able to create creation in great strides and in larger quantities than what your physical reality involves, and yet bring that backwards in a translatable, tangible form. For example, in your expression of working at a template layer of creation, you are creating enterprise, construct, and galactic outreach. In that way, it is impossible for the physical body of a human to instantly transport into another realm of consciousness from whatever layer of consciousness that the human has arrived. No human in this moment can create an experience in their physical body, transporting them across the entirety of the galaxy. Yet, in higher levels of meditation, they are able to do so. Now, understanding that simply bringing across the barrier to your physical reality the experience of galactic outreach and of the technology of this enterprise energy cannot instantly transfer into the physical reality, but the layers of that energy can. It starts with your own understanding of technology, technology that is based in higher levels of human understanding, but yet tangible enough for your mind, your heart or intuition to connect to. Also, galactic outreach, you cannot go out into the stars yet to meet other entities physically, but now you are bringing back levels of the allowance of your own psychic intuition and your connection with the galactic consciousness to come to yourself. This brings your guides into your exchange. It brings technology and technological understandings back into your own mind. This is the tangible version of what seems to be untangible in the template layer of creation as well.
Yes, and it's funny, it's like you can't bring your physical body out to the stars in this moment. My first feeling of that was like, you want to bet?
Yes, of course, it can be done with the consciousness at the right level and
Yes.
the iteration of the integration of that higher fractal into the lower fractal body. Yes.
Yeah, I felt that energy. And you know what? I know kind of how that stuff works, or so I think anyway. But it's something, it's like, so with this kind of thing, because there are two variables that have been here. One is there are a bunch of things that I'm still doing here on Earth that I find very interesting. It's just like you're walking down a trail and you find a fork in the trail, and there's two different routes that you can take. Well, you could turn around and go back and come to that fork at a later time and make your decision on which road you want to go down. In theory, the trail's not going anywhere, but the basic idea is there's stuff here that I can do on Earth, and then there's stuff that I can do out in the galaxy, where I could go ahead and basically go out into space and start building technology in a manner that would not interfere with some of the belief systems that many people are carrying here, and that many people are still holding on to, with the energies that they're holding on to. I was going to say this moment, but I'm not sure it is this moment. Because one thing I am very well aware of is that I project the versions of them that are in alignment with the different vibrations that I carry. In that aspect, it's like I'm sailing through the waters of creation, going from one part to another, and I'm at the helm of my ship, and I can take that ship to whatever part of the ocean that I want to, and I can be weary of where my energies are, what I'm prone to co-create with vibrations and with the beliefs set to a particular thing. In that aspect, I could take myself more easily, more seamlessly to a version of mankind that is more receptive to the idea. So that with that idea stated, there is left only the idea of what is in my truest excitement. If I could go anywhere at all, absolutely anywhere, with no limitation, exactly where is it that I would go? Would I stay here on Earth, or would I go begin my Star Trek? And at this point, I really do not know which way I want to go.
Yes, of course, and that is due to the nature of your own desire of conscious iteration and the integration of the entirety of that experience. There are levels in both Earth and the galactic collective consciousness that both appease your sense of excitement but also work with the levels of your higher fractal conscious desire. Now, of course, the higher fractal conscious desire does not step into the free will of the lower fractal consciousness. In fact, it is quite the opposite. It helps feed that excitement. So, at the level of that moment, you will know exactly where you desire. You have brought forward a part of your own experience that many humans are not able to, and this is the level of understanding in the moment of where you desire to co-create and create in largest form. Many humans are mixed in their own thoughts and their own beliefs about excitement, what to manifest and how to manifest this. You are allowing fluidity of the mind, fluidity of the experience of emotions, and the fluidity of the energies behind the emotions themselves. This allows the prime level of creation for you. So when you are going into that experience, projecting your own self into the astral projected state, or by means and integrating consciousness more so that you are at the level of physicality in a collective consciousness, the galactic energy, you will know at that moment precisely. And there are educated guesses that you can make within the construct of which way or direction that you desire the most. But of course, that moment of being in that ocean, letting yourself go into the realm of the helmsmanship and captainship of your own vessel, that moment is only known when the sea is at the experience that you are co-creating in. If the seas are large and choppy, would you risk the journey? If it is calm, will you continue sailing forward? That is the moment of knowing only that you have at that moment, and of course allowing the flow to continue at a free flow in all directions, of course.
Okay, I noticed here when I asked that question there were some things that came up to the surface. I was like, okay, Calvin, be wary of beliefs of the idea of losing things or leaving things behind, because, as I said, both roads are there. But a good cyclist, the people who ride the bikes down many of these bike trails, in the instance that this trail happens to be a bike trail, would go down one trail, come back, and then go down the other and enjoy both experiences. So I wonder, since the nature of this is a little bit different, I've always thought about, or I have thought about several times, the idea of kind of alternating between the two. Uh, Given the idea that all things in creation exist, there's the idea, could not you go to any of those things in creation or even call any of those things in creation to you? And there's just various things like this, and it's like, okay, well, just what kind of limitation are we going to drop? Like, are we going to go between Earth and here in space, or are we going to go out in space, hang out there long term and build stuff, or are we going to stay here and watch the show that's going on here? People are at a critical point in their evolution, letting go of a very great deal of energy, or so it seems to be in my own perspective, in my own perception of where my own consciousness seems to be at this time. And I can stay here and watch the show. And also still work on my own things. Like I have my Minecraft game that I've been coding for a very great deal of time, and I can continue evolving that. And so one of the resistances that I've been carrying is the idea of going out into space. Well, the computer and technology and intertechnology, everything over there is just not the same. What if I'm not able to bring my Minecraft game up there? And of course, so I remind myself, if all things can be done, then of course this is a moot point, because I can indeed bring my Minecraft game up there, go up there and connect to whatever energies I want to. And I can always return, if need be, to the exact point in linear time from which I departed, picking up right where I left off, plus with the wisdom I've picked up from my little journey and stuff like that.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. And if you are powerful enough to work into the manifestation of allowing yourself to leave the Earth's physical realm in your physical body and join the galactic collective consciousness, you will be powerful enough in your creations to convert technology and to monitor the Earth in the times that you desire. And if you monitor the Earth going ons as you are exploring, you can look back into the creation of that energy and express when it is time to go back to place your own additional energy in the efforts of helping others in creation or in helping others in co-creation. Of course, once you have achieved this level of consciousness at the part and where you are breaking what is normal for the physical reality around you and doing what other humans are not doing physically around you, then of course these barriers will remain extraordinarily small comparatively.
Yes, it's very, very fun. And, I can feel all these energies like, okay, I'm source energy. I can do absolutely anything I want. And now it's at the point where, and you know what, this is really where it always roots down to is, okay, what do you want to do if you are source itself? What part of yourself do you wish to explore? What part of the overarching consciousness that is all things do you wish to take a look at? And in a way, you can kind of compare that to, it's like, okay, you have a bunch of money on Earth and you want to go on vacation somewhere. Where do you want to go? And that kind of thing. Except, of course, here we're just looking like, imagine all the laws in all the countries. You're in a version of reality where those things don't exist and you can go visit to any location you want. Except, of course, we're looking on something that is infinitely much greater in its scale, where you have the entire ocean of consciousness that is creation itself available to you. And, but it's just at the point now where it's like, okay, because I know there are two factors here. One, and this is really kind of a secondary thing, I've been working on this nanotechnology for such a long time, and as I happen to be aware, the Greys, as we call them, the beings residing over at the Zeta Reticuli system, if they're still there, are the beings, the ones that are, if I remember correctly, they're humans from another matrix, destroyed their planet, destroyed their ability to reproduce. And basically, this nanotech and a lot of the energy such as it can be used, that should they desire to use it, to go ahead and basically restore themselves to their previous state or even construct a reproductive system from scratch, all that kind of stuff. Same kind of stuff, or, it's like, oh, you have a genetic disorder that, means you're basically going to go blind after a certain amount of time because your retina keeps falling off your eye or whatever. This kind of technology, which could allow you to work on literally the smallest level there is to work on in the physical reality. You can completely connecting very, very deeply to the DNA, feeling the entire consciousness that is the DNA, from the first density atoms that make it up, all of the glories that many scientists are only just beginning now to uncover, can go ahead and build something and basically restore yourself, assuming, of course, you don't even want to bother using a nanoprobe and you just use your consciousness itself to do it. There are many, many ways by which you can restore reproductive systems or cure genetic disorders, or in really what you're doing, there is no such thing as a disorder per se. You're just choosing to take a different form and express yourself in a different manner. But it just, as I connect to all these energies, it just seems like so much fun to get to go out there and tour and see you and see Treb and see the stars and see other beings and share everything I've picked up from here and just do all of that. And I'm really just kind of like a planet revolving around the same star, hanging around the same vibration, idea of wanting to go out there. So the real thing here, because I remember, if I remember correctly, there is the idea of when beings come into contact. Like I know in a number of instances, Bashar, it's like some people say, hey, Bashar, will you come land and come see us? And then, of course, when he comes down, many energies in them come to the surface. They go into a state of shock and run off because, it's like all of their inner demons, all of their fears come to the surface and manifest in, is it a physical or quasi-physical state that's enough to the point where basically they would not be able to drop all those on the spot and be able to co-create with Bashar in his true form. And I'm wondering if I'm just wondering overall about that.
Yes, of course. If you are looking, first of all, at the nanotechnology energy, of course, consciousness are able to work in the frame of all things that physical technology are, but the manifestation of nanotechnology with the precision that you desire comes as an external manifestation of the internal desire to work with all things that are unseeable or unfixable in previous terms. Utilization of nanotechnology upon cellular level is one that has not been incorporated through multiple races. Some races are able to work with technology and create direct effect connection to certain cellular levels and fix the problem through multiple terms and multiple different ways. But to utilize one technology that is good for all, only a few systems have worked upon that level, of course. So understanding that a great desire comes from this internal combustion within yourself, that fire, drive and desire to fix all things that are possible to fix, of course. This would be one of the least resistant forms that your technology externally would take. So, of course, internal and external technology are from the same accord. The internal technology works without the utilization of physical formatting, but the energy of physical formatting is utilized by those who cannot perceive themselves with the ability to heal what is needed and desired in physical form, so that they are utilizing that exact form of energy that is nanotechnology, or whatever form it would take within your expression. So, of course, yes. Now, as to the construct and desires, we wish for you to expand specifically on the idea that you are sharing and what you desire to know more specifically.
Oh, well, that would be something frankly, a lot of these things are coming and going so quickly that I would need a moment to go ahead and connect to the energy. But commenting on one of the things you mentioned is like, okay, well, some entities will use physical technology because they don't see other means. And I'm wondering, there's probably a couple of races out there that know fully that they can go ahead and use inner technology, but decide to use physical technology anyway, just for the sake of the experience itself. Because playing with a set of physical rules, even knowing the infiniteness that's out there, some might still choose to play physically for no other reason than just for the sake of the experience itself. Just like people devise games here on Earth to go ahead and play, to go ahead and be played by a certain set of rules, and for the sake of the experience. And it seems like fun.
Yes, of course. If you perceive those that are alpha draconian in nature, and those that most humans would know as the ancient reptilian consciousness, they are one who understand fully the ability of the internal structure of inner technology, yet utilize the external technology for the benefit of themselves, not having to dive deeply into the internal auspices of oneself, but also for the desire to simply perceive what is external that can be created and the mastery it takes to create that desired technology as well.
Holy smokes! Well, then I'm going to have a show to put on for them.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's fun. I love doing that kind of stuff. I've been wanting to pay them a visit anyway, and so it'll be pretty fun doing that. And but yes, basically, so one of the things that I'd imagine when it comes to the idea of say, okay, well, if I'm going to go ahead and like call a ship down here to Earth, like I have a little Tholian craft that I designed. It has a look that's kind of similar to an arrowhead. There are two variations on it. One is physical technology in nature. The other is controlled by our consciousness itself and has no actual mechanism. We build it entirely in the code that is your unconscious mind that runs your physical reality, if I understand that structure correctly. And but calling one to Earth, decloak, get in, go off to find the Enterprise J or do whatever. This is just one of the facets that I've kind of thought of. I'm realizing it's like, are there even any questions that I have about this? It's like I've got this pretty well planned out. It's like, do I want to kick the ball and get it rolling and begin this stuff? Because I've been thinking about asking for your help with this. But not everything is in focus just yet. It's like, maybe later, Calvin. Well, I don't know.
Yes, of course. Your interaction with ourselves in this moment are simple, dual reflections. As we are reflecting back to the internal nature of your own consciousness, you too are understanding that internal nature at a greater level and also perceiving at unconscious levels the reflection of our own expression of consciousness that is unseen to our own selves in that way. Although we do not keep much of our own consciousness hidden, it is a vast consciousness, therefore we are able to focus at one point of energy at one time. This is the same as humans in their own internal self-perspective and reflections. When you start looking at those parts of your internal expression that you have yet to perceive, it gives you the opportunity to explore the external universe at the same time, simultaneously working upon both levels of that energetic co-creation. So in this way, you are here not simply to understand or to find help with getting the ball rolling, but perceiving what ball rolling is in your own internal auspice and with the creation of your own higher self. We are reflecting that energy back to you as you perceive. And this energy of your own desire comes internally for multiple reasons. First of all, the feeling of limitation that was created during the entirety of the first portion of your experience of Earth. Your perceived lack of that experience and desire for more come back into you now that you understand the power that you hold within and without yourself as well.
Yes, I'm actually connecting to a number of different energies right now in this immediate moment, and the idea behind it is basically I'm feeling the consciousness of the Enterprise J. And it's like, what if sometimes the best way to find out what you really want is to have it and see if you're happy with it. And knowing with the wisdom that I carry that I can always go back to where I was before. What if I were to adjust my energy right now to the point where I could teleport myself to my ship and go meet the beings there and feel the energy? Right.
Yes, of course. This would give you the greatest understanding of all things. It would let you know in that moment if that is truly your true desire. We understand the level and nature in which you desire to co-create from, and doing so from one of the most difficult manifestations for one human consciousness to hold on to itself, but the desire to break limits of what is limiting and to break through that average human experience is very strong within you. There are multiple ways in which you can manifest that one expression of breaking through the rules and allowing larger creations of experiences. You have chosen this energy with enterprise and exploration because it is one that you have perceived reflected externally into your environment and into your experience that resonated so deeply and wholly that it became part of your own consciousness as well. The channeled material that is the Star Trek and the Star Wars and the exploration of the larger galactic consciousness that were perceived manifest into storylines that are human lore and human folktale. These constructs are part of the internal nature of all of you, and it is that explorer that is within you, that great desire of unknown and unseen things that give you the opportunity to see what works, what does not, what excites, and also what does not excite as well.
Yeah, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So, well, I think I might go ahead and do this then. So let's see. I can already feel the energy very nearby. And I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, okay, well, you said we're talking about doing one of the most difficult things for humans to manifest. And I'm thinking, you know what, let's show them how it's done. Because if I do this, then basically this can act as a message for the version of mankind with which I'm co-creating. That shows that no matter what form you're in, no matter what energies you've taken on in the past, it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter, what your history is. You can do anything in the moment. You're a source energy. You're a limitless entity. And then there's a saying, actions speak a lot louder than words. Plus, I'll get to see some pretty cool stuff up there. I wish to ask you now, do you wish to help me in my attempt to go up there?
Yes, in that way, what are the means of help that you desire? As you understand, of course, we are that in Type 1, and we can assist you by giving our own energy of creation, our own energy of love, and our own energy of excitement. We cannot work within the frame of manipulating your reality for you or around you, as this is part of your own creation and co-creation. But, in all terms, we desire to give our own love to others and for them to utilize it for whatever their own excitements are. In that way, we can work with the construct of sharing that love in the most intense form and allowing you to utilize it in the fashion you desire as well.
So then at this point, basically, it reminds me of a phenomenon that I believe has taken place a number of times here on Earth, where many beings band together their intent, combine their own consciousnesses together, and ping off of each other's own consciousnesses to use their own creative power in an amplified manner to create a specific experience for themselves. And this is something I believe when you give me that kind of love and I can feel it, and I reciprocate it greatly. And I can feel, it's like this is a similar phenomenon, if I'm not mistaken. But in the end, the wheel is in my hands. It's up to me to steer to where I want to go and to work all the nooks and crannies. So, right.
Yes, of course.
So that's
We also wish to share the idea with you that this occurs on smaller levels in Earth Collective with humans that co-create and lay intent together. Yet, in larger scale, the entire Earth Collective consciousness holds Arcturian, Pleiadian, Syrian, and many more races grids that are artificial around the Earth consciousness for the co-creator collective version of humans to utilize. You do not need simply to draw upon other humans and yourself and ourself, but there are infinite entities throughout linear time from Pleiadian co-creator collective means Arcturian, and all of those energies have multiple races, multiple iterations, multiple levels of generations, as well as each layer in their own evolution from first to sixth density and back out into collective versions. All of that is accessible to all humans that exist, that connect themselves to that grid and connect themselves into the higher fractal consciousness.
yes, this is a smaller piece to the overarching thing that I've said many times. We are one.
Yes, of course.
And so really you really have all the consciousness of source itself at your disposal. So for me, basically what I'm doing is what I would need to do to be able to go over there is really, it's like you have a picture, it's made up of a number of different blocks, like those little puzzles that they have. And you have to go ahead and move all the blocks into their proper position until they take the form that is needed for such a co-creation to take place in my instance. So that means when it comes to the idea of going up there, and this basically means, if I'm not mistaken, which this is the case anyway, I know it empirically, I can go up there whenever I want. And what I would need to do it is work all of the different energies that I'm carrying until, and I believe I've done this many times in my dream state and to extents here in the physical reality, as we call it, as well. Given that you carry the code for your entire existence, all you really need is to set some energies in place until such a manifestation coming to fruition becomes the path of least resistance, and then, of course, takes place. And I was wondering if you might be able to give me a hand with moving some of those blocks and getting the pieces where they belong, basically reflecting back to myself the different energies that I'm carrying that focus resistance toward the idea of going there and letting go of them. And
yes, of course. The first layer that is in resistance of all humans are the physicality structures and the rules and regulations that humans perceive physical reality and its existence within. Those are all in unconscious, subconscious, semi-conscious places of your own energy. The repetitive thought and the repetitive knowing of source energy that exists within you, the code of all things that exist within you, has given way to a great deal of the unconscious, subconscious energies that are behind the resistance that would hold towards going closer to that momentum and energy. The other layers continue to be removed as you continue to understand, know, feel, and perceive the energy that not only you are loved, but the universe itself is that love. Connecting with the heart energy of the universe helps remove that unconscious, subconscious, the knowing, the energy. So the continuation of the mental progress of that energy is important. Secondly, the energy that is within a belief system of most humans, that you cannot see something occur that has not occurred previously or that you have not personally perceived. While in your mental energy that belief does not exist, in the deeper layers of the root chakra, the subconscious holds to this. Understanding the ego portion of consciousness is not one that is evil and restrictive. It is one that holds desire for safety and sense of permanence in its physical form. holding the integration process to that ego form of consciousness is also an important step to remove those layers. So starting in the perspective that you are at one with all things is important. That is the first transmutation in organization of that energy. But also perceiving that your individual consciousness and entity also hold that great stake of understanding internally the processes of your individuality, knowing that you can be an individual and one at the same accord. It is one and the same. The exact identity of yourself as that portion of all that is an important energy to tune into. And again, you have done the work that the most humans are unable to do in that way, but also perceiving in that construct at the most full way is important and vital for some of those last layers to be removed. The energy of your own understanding can come once you realize that the safety of identity, safety of your sense of self, are all practical and tied into that ego form of consciousness. Go through your root, second and third chakra, and release a great deal of subconscious, unconscious energy by placing your intent and focusing upon those areas. And when you feel your body or the mental or emotional response that is of perhaps a resistant form, when you push that intent into the chakras, remind your chakras, remind your expression of consciousness that you are at ease, that you are fine with not being fully formed in physical reality in the way that other humans perceive that physical reality. Let it know that part of your identity is part of all that is, and part of your excitements are to remove all of the things that had made you in your life experience uncomfortable with the identity of yourself must also be adhered to. It must be healed, going back in linear form, projective form, emotional form, and whatever other form that you desire, to clear that energy and to perceive that wounded child that felt out of place of others, that part of others that have expressed that energy. Remove all of this energy simply by revisiting and knowing. We must also express, as we know you are not fond of limitations and human expression, that time in linear fashion is a limitation for Rob, so we adhere to his regulations. We do express there are 5 minutes that remain within our co-creative expression.
Well, part of the game on Earth is limitation, but one of the things about being Source is you can let go of and take on limitation at your leisure. So I asked this one final question that, in the hopes that it'll help out Rob, and that is, what input in general do you have for him, message that will help him out with going forward with all the energies that he's carrying? This is something that I guess is really just for the sake of, for him. I'm not thinking of the exact words, but let me go ahead and relay the energy more telepathically.
Yes, we understand completely in the terms, not only verbally, but what is expressed from the heart, a desire to share the co-creation of openness with one in which you love and appreciate. And with that energy, Rob is highly aware of the changes that are required in the psychology, the energy, the resistant layers and levels. What must occur within him is first the settling of all things in his physical reality that he feels hold resistance. Part of this is naturally inclined through time, experience, and cycle of energy in which he is a part of in this moment. All things are headed towards that releasing of resistance. But to amplify and to speed up that resistance, it is a simple number of understanding internally that when he experiences that resistance with his perceived daily experience, to simply remind himself that yes, at human form I am playing that level and role, and accept that it may feel as if it is a resistance but to know that it truly is not resistant is very important for him. Trevor Yitney and him share a great deal of time together, yet this one concept has never come to fruition, as it was never a part of Rob's consciousness to reflect that from Trevor Yitney, yet the construct of your own query gives that ability to be constructed. And as we understood that the example of time and energy that you would share related to Rob and his query, he opened the ability for himself to hear this interaction. Of course, we will allow Rob to speak in his own words what he desires to share with you, but we share with you that in our creation of allowing Rob to open his ears to this part of our expression, and for Trevor Yitney to work with him in that moment, that there's great gratitude that comes from all three of our consciousnesses, as Rob's own energy's inability to reflect this construct allowed the resistance to stay, whereas this may allow him to open that resistance and lessen it. We thank you for this.
Yes, you are very welcome.
Yes, of course, and as you are aware, the linear time perspective has caught up to the end of our co-creation, but before we disconnect, and we are also aware that you are aware, that as you have co-created with us, it gives us that opportunity to perceive those parts of you that we have not co-created with previously in linear time fashion. That gives us great and ample opportunity to perceive those parts of us that we have yet to explore. You are growing. We are one. We are growing as well. We thank you for the growth that you have allowed us to co-create, and we congratulate your own consciousness for the great strides of growth within as well.
Yes, I was essentially going to say exactly the same thing to you. It's very exciting, and we thank you for co-creating this experience, and it's a great joy to go ahead and, well, the music and the end of the session should be cueing, well, anyway, but it was a great joy co-creating with you, and we thank you. You've helped us see many new parts of our own consciousness that we had not seen before, and it's allowed me to really get into grips with some of the different energy that I was carrying and they were manifesting in my reality in subtle ways, and I can now go ahead and more easily let go of them. And we hope...
Yes, of course, it is truly our greatest excitement to have worked with you in that co-creative manner as well.
Yes, and we bid you adieu.
Yes, of course, we bid you adieu as well as you are loved.
You are loved as well, and we love you. Adieu.